Guys, it is day 13 of Figuary 2020, which means we are almost halfway. So that's halfway to building this drawing habit, halfway to solidifying all these skills we've been working on. So today, let's look back just to make sure we don't forget any of the stuff that we've worked on so far.
Hi, my name's Kenzo, and this is Love Life Drawing.
So at the beginning, we were thinking about 1 and 2 minute poses, which is really important, obviously, for when you're doing quick gestural drawings, but for any drawings, because when you know what's important enough and you can simplify it enough to do a quick drawing, you're going to use those same skills when you're building up your longer drawings too. So the things that we looked at were like the big landmarks, the torso center line, seeing where the rib cage is, seeing the rib cage arch and those bony bits sticking out on the pelvis, seeing the collarbones, and then comparing the angle of the shoulders against the angle of the pelvis, and seeing the big rib cage mass against the big mass of the pelvis, seeing that center line through the torso, and on the back, the spine line down the torso, that little triangle just above the butt crack, the sacrum, and then the shoulder blades. These landmarks were essential, and then we used them to figure out what is the most important thing that we want to capture about the angles, the twist, the rotation, maybe a pinch on one side and a stretch on the other side. What is the really interesting thing in this torso, which is often the heart of the gesture in the pose? And then we started to work with Richard Powell, and he showed us how to simplify more and exaggerate more and how to push the pose. He also showed us how to use big, simple lines like C curves and S curves and set them off against straight lines. Whew, so we went through a lot with that. I really struggled with it, and then I felt like I pushed hard enough, I went further, and I had a little breakthrough. And I hope that you also learned to exaggerate more and simplify a little bit more with him. And then we started to study Lane Brown, and that was amazing. For me, I feel like I learned so much. And one thing that was really interesting was, even though they have completely different styles, Lane Brown and Richard Powell, the overlap in their processes. So they both start with those big simple masses, just big simple shapes, rib cage and pelvis. They both use those C curves and S curves and a lot of nice straight lines. They both use the joints as literally pivot points in their drawings. You could build up a drawing just by capturing the joints. The viewer will fill in the rest. The big difference with Lane Brown was that he does slightly longer drawings, and he really uses and plays with the light and the dark. He simplifies the shadows into bigger shapes, simplifies their edges with those simple curves and straight lines to design the shape of the shadows. And he kind of adds extra contrast to the edge of the shadow shape, and that shape explains the form, like the 3D volume, by wrapping around it. So it explains the 3D form to the viewer, but it's also designed to look beautiful. So I just wanted to look at one of today's poses, the first one. You can probably guess what I'm going to say. You've got 1 minute, so what's important? There's the rib cage coming down and then the pelvis coming off to the left-hand side of the picture. You want to do justice to how much that pelvis is pushing off to the left, how there's a fold in the torso, like a sharp angle in the torso. On the other side, there's a nice big, beautiful curve. That is going to be one of the big things. And then we can see down the legs, there's a nice big S curve down this leg. So that's something that we looked at on day 8, the big, beautiful curves in the legs. So I really, really enjoyed this one. I decided after the 1 minute to then pause it and do a little bit more with the shadow shapes, because there's nice lighting on this one too, creating some nice shapes. I wanted to get in some of those because of the Lane Brown stuff we've been doing. So have a lot of fun with this one. I also wanted to talk about the final pose, the 5 minute one, because this one is actually tough. It's very symmetrical and very straight on. And normally we would want there to be a twist, right? Or a fold or something, some kind of contrast or difference between one side and the other, between the rib cage and the pelvis. Just something to kind of be the focal point of our drawing. And I feel like this one is very straight and very symmetrical, so it's tough. But fortunately, the lighting is not symmetrical. And so the lighting's coming from one side and creating interesting shadow shapes on the other side. So that could be something that would help you to create interest in your drawing. I would say aim for the last thing anyone could say about your drawings today is that they're conservative. If someone says, that drawing's a little crazy, a little wild, a little bit over the top, that could be your aim. But if someone says that is, you reduce the angle, you reduce the curve, it's a little bit too conservative, that should be the thing that you try to avoid. Let's go a little bit wild with our drawings today. You can share your drawings at community.lovelifedrawing.com and hang out with your fellow artists over there. Share them on Instagram, and of course your practice session is at vimeo.com/Croquis Cafe. And also, if you want to sign up to our newsletter is really good. We always send out useful tips, so check out our newsletter and get the free guide that comes with it. So have a lot of fun. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow.